I'm by myself and I'm not armed today.
Wait, stay! Stay back!
There's a footprint right here.
This upcoming encounter unfolds deep within the woods, where a late-night exploration turned into something far more sinister than anticipated. Dee's Dark Adventures, a YouTube channel renowned for documenting eerie and abandoned locations, captured this chilling night. What began as a routine investigation quickly escalated into a terrifying experience that even seasoned explorers found unsettling. The night started off normal. The air was surprisingly warm for the season, hovering around 57 degrees Fahrenheit. Ideal conditions for outdoor exploration. Dee had visited this site multiple times before, exploring different trails and testing new routes. However, something about this particular trip felt off. Instead of taking the usual path, Dee chose to follow a trail that ran parallel to the main road. At first, everything seemed normal. The gentle rustling of leaves, distant hoots of owls, and the rhythmic chirping of crickets filled the air. The trail was quiet and appeared untouched, but as the night progressed, an unsettling sense of unease began to take hold. Then, strange things started to occur. Scattered along the trail were odd piles of leaves. They didn't seem naturally blown together by the wind. Their arrangement was deliberate, almost as if someone or something had carefully placed them there. It was disturbing, but not enough to cause Dee to turn back. Suddenly, the whispers began, soft at first, barely distinguishable from the natural forest sounds.
Now, what is that? Because it's two-toed, and this is my foot. Okay? Why is it the same size as the top of my foot? And then if you look at it, it's two-toed. While I was sick, you guys sent me pictures and I didn't look at them. And I happened to glance at one and it looked... What's sticking at me? Oh, not while the airplane's going style.
They became clearer, soft, low voices whispering in the darkness, drifting from multiple directions. Dee immediately ceased scanning the area with the flashlight, but found nothing, only trees, empty space, in the vast unknown. That's when the feeling of being watched took hold. A dark figure stood in the distance, blending seamlessly into the trees. It wasn't moving, yet it was there, silent, still, observing. At first, Day considered that it might be a trick of the light or perhaps an oddly shaped tree, but the longer Dee stared, the more evident it became that this was no mere shadow. When called out, there was no response. The figure didn't react, shift, or acknowledge another presence. It simply remained there.
Those are piles. Guys. Those are piles. Oh my god, dude, these are piles. Like, look, they're flat everywhere, right? Piles. One pile. Two pile. Where's the third pile? Where'd you go? One? What? Three? 1, 2, 3. Sitting right here. 1, 2, 3. That's cool. I don't know if it... I mean, I've ran into that before, but they were bigger. But right here, watching the road. Chilling. Another pile. Those are fucking walnuts, dude. It's gotta see my eyes. And it heard me. Hi. Hello. Something's up, dude. This ain't right. I don't feel right.
The atmosphere grew heavier on that once peaceful, war-torn night. Suddenly, a feeling of dread swept over me as I sensed something was amiss. From deep within the forest, a new sound emerged. A deep, guttural clicking noise. It wasn't an animal call I recognized, nor had I ever heard anything like it before. The sound was rhythmic, deliberate and unsettling. Then, abruptly, it moved. A surge of noise erupted with rapid footsteps and branches snapping as something massive charged through the trees. It was heading straight for me. Panic seized me. Whatever lurked in the shadows had been watching, waiting, and now it was closing it in. Without thinking, I turned and ran, my heart pounding and adrenaline surging. I sprinted back toward the car, the echoing sounds of movement behind me intensifying. It wasn't just fear of being chased. I had the gut-wrenching sense that something far beyond human understanding had just revealed itself. Even when I reached the vehicle, the feeling of being watched persisted. The equipment started malfunctioning, cameras glitching as if something had interfered with them. Then, a final sighting sent chills down my spine. Near the edge of the tree line, a large black humanoid figure stood still. It wasn't moving toward the vehicle, nor was it leaving. It simply remained there, silently warning me never to return.
What the hell is that? Let me steady you. Woo! Okay. There's a orb around it. What the fuck is that? Is it moving? What is that? Dude, what is that? Is it just leaves on the tree? There's orbs all around it. What is it? I can't zoom in anymore. I'm not getting out. Like, there's the black part. Like, it's the whole body. Yeah, no. What is that? Whatever it is trying to look small, and it's not small.
Its shape shifted unnaturally, subtly twisting as if attempting to blend with the surrounding branches. The realization gradually sank in. This wasn't just some unexplained noise or a fleeting sense of paranoia. It was something real, shaken but uninjured. Day drove away, leaving whatever had been lurking in the darkness behind. Yet the memory of that night lingered, serving as a constant reminder that not everything in the wilderness can be easily explained. In this video posted by Scott Carpenter, he presents an unfiltered and authentic exploration of a remote forest as he attempts to gather evidence of Bigfoot activity during a backpacking trip. Framing the journey as a continuation of previous investigations, Scott shares a mix of curiosity, apprehension, and determination. The focus of his exploration is on identifying signs of the creature's presence, such as altered stick structures, unusual noises, and possible sightings. The investigation begins with the narrator revisiting a stick structure they had previously built in the woods, which they believe served as a territorial marker for Bigfoot. This structure included a balance stick, a small wooden pyramid, and other carefully arranged elements. Upon arrival, the narrator finds that the structure has been disturbed. The balance stick has been removed, snapped in half, and left nearby.
And the balance stick has been pulled out. It's laying on the ground and it's been snapped in two. See where it's been snapped? I don't know where the other half is. There's the lower half.
This discovery captivates and unsettles the narrator, who suspects that the act was intentional. The narrator notes that similar behaviors have been observed in other investigations, where structures were deliberately altered or dismantled after their construction. Examining a broken stick closely, the narrator points out that natural forces like wind could not have caused the damage, leading to the hypothesis that the destruction might serve as a form of communication or territorial warning. They consider the possibility that these markers carry symbolic significance for Bigfoot, such as trail markers, family identifiers, or boundary demarcations. The recurring pattern of manipulated stick structures reinforces the narrator's belief that these actions are driven by deliberate intelligence. As their exploration progresses, the narrator becomes increasingly uneasy, describing a sensation of being surrounded or monitored from multiple directions. Subtle sounds, including snapping branches and faint rustling in the underbrush, heighten their sense of tension.
If I get lucky, I'm going to have a sighting today, get eaten by a bear, attacked by a bear, or end up disappearing. Because they are loud. I'm sure the camera's not picking any of this crap up.
The narrator often pauses to survey their surroundings, speculating that the sounds they hear might be a deliberate tactic by Bigfoot to distract or scare them further, implying a level of strategic behavior. A crucial moment occurs when the narrator notices a dark shape, quickly moving between the trees. Although the sighting is brief, it triggers a surge of adrenaline, and the narrator describes the figure as large, dark, and moving with purposeful agility. Trying to follow it, the narrator climbs to higher ground for a better view. However, upon reaching the spot, they find no immediate evidence of the creature's presence. This fleeting glimpse of the unknown reinforces the narrator's belief that they are being watched or tracked by something intelligent and elusive.
I saw a movement. Something darted behind this tree, or darted in this area. Scared the crap out of me. Black. Large. Looked like I saw his trailing arm. See? Or his butt. Of course, there won't be anything here. No sign, no footprints.
The investigation becomes more convincing when the narrator finds a large footprint in the soft ground, which they compare to their own boot, estimating the track to be around 16 or 17 inches long, much bigger than a typical human footprint.
Alright, this is possible footfall right there. See that? There we go. See, look, this is just barely, you can just barely tell it. But there it is. Okay, there we go. I'm not a total buffoon. There's a footprint right here. I'll have to dissect it for you because you can barely see it, but I'll show it to you. Alright. Right up here are the toes. Right there's the heel mark. That's a big old boy too. Shit.
They highlight clear toe marks and a deep heel indentation, which demonstrate the size and depth of the print as evidence of a large creature. The narrator's excitement is evident as they emphasize the rarity of finding such physical clues. They speculate that the depth and shape of the tracks correspond with other Bigfoot sightings and reports from researchers. They suggest that the creature might be attempting to manipulate its movements by making noises, or briefly revealing itself to divert attention. The narrator proposes that this behavior could allow other creatures to move unseen or carry out tasks undetected. They reflect on the frustration of catching fleeting glimpses and hearing ambiguous sounds without being able to definitively document the phenomena. This frustration highlights the inherent challenges of investigating something as elusive as Bigfoot. Toward the end of their exploration, the narrator uncovers additional subtle signs of disturbance, such as displaced leaves and faint ground indentations, which could indicate movement. They point out how difficult tracking is in such a dense, overgrown environment, where evidence can easily be hidden or overlooked. Despite these obstacles, the narrator remains committed to continuing the investigation, believing that every small piece of evidence adds to the larger puzzle. They reaffirm their conviction that these findings suggest the presence of Bigfoot nearby. The narrator expresses a mix of excitement and frustration, acknowledging the challenge of obtaining conclusive proof while maintaining a sense of wonder and determination. The video opens with a lone explorer, returning to a secluded forested area. The uploader, who runs the YouTube channel Sooner Sasquatch, recounts a disturbing experience he had there just a week earlier.
And it was about 300 yards that way. And I was trying out a replacement night vision that I got in. And I don't say it in the video, but something started walking towards me from my left, from off this way towards me. And you could hear the sticks breaking towards the end of the video, and it kind of freaked me out. I didn't say anything in the video, but I just shut the camera off and put everything up and left. I wasn't far from my vehicle.
While testing a new night vision device, he recalls hearing distinct footsteps and the sound of snapping branches coming from the edge of the forest. Although nothing appeared on camera that night, the chilling encounter was enough to send him fleeing the area. Now, he's returned to the same location, but this time, the forest seems even more unsettling. As the video progresses, the explorer moves carefully through the thick underbrush, narrating his experience in real time. He describes an eerie sensation of being watched, like an invisible pressure bearing down with every step. The stillness of the woods is broken only by occasional snaps of twigs and rustling leaves. At one point, he notices trees swaying unnaturally despite the absence of wind. The movement feels intentional, as if something, or someone, is nearby but remaining just out of view. Then, the camera briefly catches a dark figure, flickering between the trees. Amplifying the growing sense of dread, the uploader cautiously moves in for a closer look.
Right back there were those trees were kind of shaking. I thought it went back this way, but I could see the trees over here shaking. See, I'm still hearing something over here. And it's really cold. I keep seeing a black shape in there.
But his unease is clear. The forest is eerily silent, making every footstep and the occasional creak of the trees seem louder. I wasn't even planning to make a video, he admits, his voice uncertain. I'm unarmed and alone. As he follows what looks like a path of crushed foliage, he comments on the unusual patterns in the vegetation, signs that something large recently moved through the area. Yet, there's no indication of any wildlife. His flashlight scans the surroundings, briefly illuminating unsettling clearings where he believes the movement began. Then, the atmosphere suddenly changes.
There was a growl. I'm gonna do a real slow pan and then I'm getting out of here. I'm freezing. Whatever it was got quiet. Right through there is where I think it went. You can see right in the middle of my screen it's all open. You can see where stuff's been trampled, and I'm getting some movement back here where I'm pointing the camera right about now. I can hear it back there. I'm by myself and I'm not armed today.
He hears a faint, guttural growl coming from deeper within the woods, a low, unsettling sound that sends a chill down his spine. Though visibly shaken, he pushes on, only to quickly reconsider. I feel like I'm being watched, he confesses, casting nervous glances around the dark forest. The tension peaks as he arrives at the spot where he last noticed movement. The camera slowly sweeps across the trees, revealing a haunting stillness, heavier and more oppressive than before. Whatever had been moving earlier is now silent and still, as if lurking nearby, waiting for him to leave. Eventually, the cold and fear become too much. I'm freezing and I've had enough, he says, before turning back and retreating to safety. The video ends with his hasty exit, leaving behind an unsettling sense of mystery. What had been moving in the woods? Was it a wild animal, a person, or something far stranger? Just when it seems the forest encounter couldn't get more unnerving, the next story leads us into the heart of a cornfield, where eerie sounds and shadowy figures transform a routine investigation into a night of sheer terror. In 2006, two brothers set out on a camping adventure deep within the wilderness of British Columbia, an area celebrated for its pristine beauty in ancient, dense forests. Their goal was to enjoy a peaceful retreat, a chance to immerse themselves in the untouched serenity of nature. The towering trees and distant wildlife sounds provided a calming backdrop as they established their camp and prepared for a night under the stars. Unaware, they were about to find that this remote sanctuary would soon become the scene of a chilling and unforgettable encounter. The day started quietly, with the brothers capturing the breathtaking scenery around them on camera. The evening light cast a golden glow through the trees, creating an almost otherworldly illumination across the forest floor. As they filmed, movement in the distance caught their eye. Thinking it was a bear, an animal commonly seen in the region, they continued with their activities, dismissing the sighting as a typical wildlife encounter. However, the figure they had glimpsed did not behave like a bear. Its posture was hunched, yet purposeful, and its enormous size appeared to surpass that of any known local animal. Curious, yet dead uneasy, they focused their camera on the spot where they had seen it. Through the lens, the figure became more recognizable, hinting at something unusual and mysterious.
Quick, stay back!
Standing tall amidst the undergrowth, it loomed silently with slow, deliberate movements. Despite the distance and the fading light, it was apparent that this was no ordinary creature. The brothers watched as the figure paused, seemingly aware of their presence. Its stillness was unsettling, almost as if it was silently observing them in return. After a few tense moments, it retreated into the shadows, vanishing with an unnatural quiet. Shaken, the brothers quickly decided to pack up and leave. The once inviting forest now felt oppressive, its silence heavy with unseen dangers. During the drive home, they hardly spoke, burdened by the memory of what they had seen, the eerie stillness and deliberate actions of the figure leaving them unsettled. Yet, curiosity nudged them to return later that night, seeking answers. Armed with flashlights and their camera, they retraced their steps, hoping to find some explanation. What they discovered only deepened the mystery.
Look at that. This is... he ran backwards, right? Over there somewhere. Over there. See, that could be a possible footprint. I don't know.
Could be.
Like, look.
The soft earth near the spot where the figure had stood revealed massive, deeply embedded footprints, impressively larger than any human foot. The tracks bore a vaguely humanoid shape, but their form was unlike anything familiar. The brothers documented their discovery, their unease growing as they examined the size and depth of the impressions, which suggested a creature of considerable mass whose true nature defied logical explanation. As they followed the trail, they recalled that the figure had stood well over 6 feet tall, with a hunched posture and fluid movements that eerily resembled human behavior. The way it had paused and watched them sent chills through them. The discovery of the footprints confirmed their fears. What they had encountered was far from ordinary. Rumors about the incident quickly spread, fueling speculation. Cryptid enthusiasts pointed out the similarities between the figure described by the brothers and the legendary Sasquatch, the height, posture, and deliberate movements aligning with stories of the elusive creature. Skeptics, however, suggested it could have been a bear on its hind legs or an elaborate prank, but the remote location and the authenticity of the footprints made such explanations unlikely in the brothers' view. The experience profoundly changed their perception of the wilderness. What was once a place of beauty and solace now seemed shrouded in mystery, where the line between natural and unknown blurred. The vast, ancient forest appeared to conceal secrets that defied explanation. To this day, the encounter remains an enduring mystery, raising questions about the existence of beings beyond scientific understanding. For the brothers, that night's memory lingers as a reminder of how little we truly know about the world, while for others, it stands as a chilling testament to the secrets that might still dwell deep within our untamed wilderness. We venture into the shadowy depths of Harwood Forest, a place where haunting melodies and sinister discoveries blur the line between the natural and the mysterious. Nestled amidst the rolling landscapes of Northumberland, England, Harwood Forest extends in peaceful solitude, its dense trees and winding trails long serving as a haven for hikers, campers, and nature lovers seeking refuge in its tranquil embrace. For Damien, the creator behind the YouTube channel Fell Wanderer, the forest was more than just a retreat. It was a canvas for his wild camping and bushcraft adventures, where he shared the beauty and serenity of the outdoors with his audience. However, in the latter half of 2014, the familiar woods revealed a darker side. What began as routine explorations gradually shifted, marked by inexplicable events that would culminate in one of Damien's most unsettling compilations. The change was subtle at first. During his visits to Harwood Forest, Damien started noticing things that didn't quite add up. Unnatural echoes, strange impressions in the soil, and an unsettling stillness that seemed to follow him. Initially dismissing these phenomena as quirks of nature or overactive imagination, he found it harder to ignore them as months passed. Determined to understand what he was experiencing, Damien turned his camera toward the unexplainable, hoping his viewers might help make sense of it all. By November 30th, he had collected footage that revealed a forest unlike the peaceful wilderness his audience had come to know. This was no longer a serene refuge. It was a place riddled with unanswered questions and eerie phenomena that defied logic. Among the most haunting elements of his recordings was a melodic, haunting singing that echoed through the woods, captured on multiple occasions. The melody seemed to emanate from deep within the trees, its source impossible to identify. Sometimes, the singing was accompanied by the sharp crack of breaking branches, as if something unseen was moving nearby. This combination of sounds created an unsettling image of a forest teeming with mystery. Damien's discoveries extended beyond sounds during his explorations. He found physical evidence that deepened the enigma. He took photographs of unusually large footprints, far bigger than any human foot pressed into the forest floor. The footprints appeared fresh, with details suggesting they had been made not long before his arrival. But these footprints were only the beginning. The most disturbing finds were the remains of sheep scattered throughout the forest. While animal remains are common in the wild, these were different. Some carcasses had been dragged into trees, with their lifeless bodies suspended in ways that defied natural explanation. Damien documented these scenes, each more bizarre than the last, and included them in his collection. The images were grotesque and inexplicable, raising questions about what or who could have placed them there. Together, the sounds, footprints, and disturbing scenes painted a chilling picture of Harwood Forest. Damien's footage suggested that the forest might be home to something unknown, something that didn't belong there. In his video, he shared his thoughts with his audience, explaining that while each discovery might seem innocuous on its own, their combined presence was impossible to ignore. Could these clues point to the existence of an undiscovered hominid, or were they evidence of something entirely different? The comment section of Damien's video quickly turned into a hub of speculation. Some viewers believed the evidence indicated a mysterious creature lurking in the woods, possibly a relative of humans that had remained hidden from science. Others dismissed the findings as coincidences or natural phenomena, attributing the strange occurrences to wildlife behavior or misinterpretation of the environment. Nonetheless, the combination of the haunting singing, disturbing discoveries, and large footprints left room for doubt. If nothing else, the video succeeded in leaving viewers unsettled and curious. To this day, no definitive explanation has been offered for Damien's findings. The mystery of Harwood Forest remains unsolved, its secrets concealed within the dense trees and shadowy trails, an enduring enigma of eerie mysteries. In August 2015, a YouTuber named John Blatt embarked on a solo camping expedition to an undisclosed location. His channel showcased outdoor adventures, and based on his videos, he appeared to be an experienced camper who had spent numerous nights in the wilderness without any issues, relishing the solitude and connection with nature. However, something about this particular trip felt different. After a few days alone in the woods, John started to feel uneasy. There was no specific cause, no strange noises or immediate dangers, just a deep, instinctual warning that he couldn't ignore. He attempted to dismiss these feelings, telling himself that they were nothing, but as time went on, the sensation intensified, pressing down on him like an unseen force. He turned on his camera and spoke directly to his viewers, documenting his growing discomfort.
Is that as I have been walking through down the path the last couple hours, I've been sensing threatening sensations, like I was being stalked, and I was completely ready to be here another night, which is very disappointing. But I follow my intuition. Anytime I don't, I really regret it. And I honestly, I never felt this before.
He had intended to stay for another night, but something within him was urging him to leave. As he spoke, he unintentionally captured something on camera.
Bear with me. I don't know if anybody will ever watch this video. Whoa. Look at that guy. Look at that dude. Oh well. I had just walked down through here not an hour ago, probably.
In the distance, a figure darted between the trees, swift, barely perceptible yet unmistakable. It was a humanoid shape shrouded in gray, disappearing into the forest. John didn't notice it at first, but when his viewers later reviewed the footage, the truth became clear. Something had been observing him. The unease in John's voice was now justified. He wasn't merely paranoid. There was clearly something or someone lurking in the woods. Taking a brief pause, he stopped to drink some water, keeping his camera running casually.
I need to set this down here for a second. I just need some water. But when you're out in the woods a lot and you hear odd sounds that just aren't normal, and I don't know how to explain that. Those of you who do spend a lot of time out in the woods would understand what I mean.
The longer he gazed into the trees, the more unnatural the silence became. The woods, which should have been alive with the sounds of birds and rustling leaves, were completely still, an eerie quiet that served as a warning. That was enough for JN. He turned, grabbed his gear, and hurriedly left the area. Later, when he reviewed the footage, he was left with even more questions. Who or what had been following him? The figures didn't resemble typical hikers, nor were they animals. They moved deliberately, hiding when he looked in their direction and staying just out of sight. Some viewers speculated that they were forest dwellers, people living off the grid and avoiding outsiders at all costs. Others believed it was something else entirely, something not quite human. But one thing was certain: John hadn't been alone in those woods. If he had stayed another night, would they have drawn closer? Some mysteries are best left unsolved, and John made the right choice by leaving before he could find out.